Boss, do you have any dead fish? Are you sure you want to buy a dead fish? Hey, I want to buy some dead fish. But I have fresh ones here. Fresh fish tastes better. Dead fish don't taste as good. Dead fish are cheaper. Just give me a dead one. Well, I just happen to have one here. The person in the video says, "Don't laugh at me, but today I went to the market again to buy dead fish. Fresh fish cost 10 yuan for half a kilo, and 4 fish weigh about 4 kilo. So if I bought fresh fish, it would cost at least 80 yuan, but today I got 4 dead fish for only 20 yuan. Do you think I overpaid? Personally, I don't think it's necessary to waste money. Additionally, dead fish and fresh fish are the same to eat. If I can save, I'll save. There are plenty of other things to spend money on." Recently, an article titled "Everyone's Waiting for the Fish to Die" has been circulating widely online. It uses a vivid metaphor to describe the economic downturn in China and the struggles many industries are facing as businesses close down. The article points out that, at local markets, it's common to see elderly people hanging around fish stalls late in the day, waiting for fish to die so they can buy them cheaper. Due to the economic downturn, more metaphorical fish are dying these days, which means there are more customers standing around the fish stalls. Some investment firms are even looking to buy these dead fish, while others are hoping the stall owners will split the fish so they can buy cheaper parts like the heads or tails. The fish in the tank, on the other hand, are hoping that other fish will die first. When other fish die, they can be sold at a better price. To avoid being the last one left, they're all desperately trying to survive. So in a way, everyone is just waiting for the fish to die. The author argues that while it wasn't uncommon in the past to see a few elderly people waiting for fish to die, the situation has changed. Now there are many more people waiting, which disrupt the balance at the market. The question is, can the fish stall owners still make money? If they can't, will they still be willing to pay their stall fees? And what happens if they stop paying? The article also shares a story about a recent experience. The author was helping a medical equipment company find a production facility. The factory they looked at was nearly 3,000 square meters. The previous tenant had spent 15 million yuan on renovations but had to shut down due to financing problems. Now the owner of the space is offering the factory for lease and isn't even asking for the renovation cost back, just hoping to find someone to take over to minimize their penalty fees. However, the potential tenant still thought the rent was too high. The author comments, "I couldn't help but wonder. If you save on the renovation costs, the biggest investment is actually the rent, but the customer said, it's not urgent. Similar spaces will be available by the end of the year." The author reflects that it's like everyone is waiting for fish to die. The more fish that die, the cheaper they can be bought. In the end, the author laments, "It seems like everyone is stuck on a cycle of waiting for things to collapse, but how can we break the cycle?" Many netizens have been commenting on this situation, expressing their thoughts. Many industries in China's manufacturing sector are facing similar issues. Once everyone is waiting for the fish to die, is there anyone left to buy the fish? If no one buys them, the fish will just have to be thrown away. Everyone knows they should buy at the bottom, but where is the bottom? Who has the ability to lead a large-scale effort to reach the bottom? Could it be individual investors? Simply put, everyone is out of money. China's economy has been struggling, with weak domestic demand. The Chinese government has introduced a number of new measures to try to stimulate the economy, but official data shows that these efforts have not been effective in boosting consumer spending or investment. The results of these policies have been limited. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, the Consumer Price Index for October increased by only 0.3% year-on-year, while the Producer Price Index dropped by 2.9%, both below market expectations. This indicates that the government is still dealing with deflationary pressures. In Shanghai, from January to October 2024, the total retail sales of consumer goods reached 1.5 trillion yuan, a 2% decrease compared to the same period last year. A Chinese self-media author who referenced the waiting for fish to die concept mentioned that Shanghai has the highest GDP per capita and is located in the heart of the economically active Yangtze River Delta. Now, given the consumer data coming out of Shanghai, we can infer the consumption situation in less developed areas. The author goes on to explain that, amid mounting debt, reduced spending, overcapacity, and insufficient demand, the number of sellers for various types of assets will only continue to rise. Over time, buyers will become more and more cautious, holding back from making purchases. Well-known self-media personality Li Muyang commented on the article, stating that the author is from mainland China, which is why they only discussed the reasons industries are waiting for fish to die, but didn't dare to state the full truth. The real reason, Li says, is that everyone knows the industries are essentially dead because the Chinese Communist Party has trapped the entire society and nation in a death cycle. However, the CCP is not going to stop its turmoil before every industry has completely collapsed. Recently, state-run media Economic Daily reported that the CCP will strengthen its overall leadership over economic work, which basically means the government is not going to stop its disruptions. As a result, Li believes the future is very unpredictable and advises everyone to prepare mentally for the worst. Li Muyang urged the Chinese public to avoid stock trading, investing, or buying real estate during this time. He advises people to stay out of debt, and no matter how long the situation lasts, they should just take things one step at a time and wait together for the fish to die, meaning waiting for the CCP to collapse and for a change of regime. On November 11th, the People's Bank of China released new data on loans and social financing. In the first 10 months of 2024, China's new loans totaled 16.5 trillion yuan, with nearly 500 billion yuan in new loans in October alone, the lowest level in the past 3 months. This figure was well below the market expectation of 7 billion yuan and also far lower than September's 1.5 trillion yuan. The broad money supply, M2, which reflects civilian savings, stood at 309 trillion yuan, a 7.5% increase year-on-year. However, the narrow money supply, M1, which reflects cash flow from civilian consumption, was 63 trillion yuan, a 6.1% decrease. As China's economy continues to slow and the job market outlook remains bleak, consumers are increasingly cutting back on everyday spending. As a result, many businesses have introduced budget-friendly penny pincher meal sets, which have become popular among young people online. In recent months, many businesses in China, including KFC, McDonald's, and IKEA's food courts, have introduced penny pincher meal deals. This trend has even spread to other sectors such as household goods, furniture, and tourism. According to Chinese media reports, a new consumer habit is emerging among young people. In an effort to save money, they prefer spending more time and effort visiting various stores rather than committing to long-term memberships at one store. For example, some young people go to fitness centers for a 9.9 yuan experience class, seek new dental cleaning packages at different shops, or get massages with friends by finding special deals or getting deals at private cinemas. They look on WeChat for free trial cards. Winter is traditionally a peak season for down jackets, but due to the trend of downgraded consumption, down jackets have also cooled down. Recently, it has become popular in China to refurbish old down jackets by turning multiple ones into a single new one, which can save hundreds or even thousands of yuan compared to buying a new jacket that typically costs several thousand yuan. A recent video on Chinese TikTok showed how young people are taking their old down jackets to be refurbished rather than buying new ones. For example, a person going to the north for a trip decided not to spend 3,000 yuan on a new down jacket. Instead, they took 2 old jackets, had them refurbished into a very thick new jacket, and spent only 400 yuan. On social media, discussions about refurbishing down jackets are becoming increasingly popular. Some netizens have shared their experiences. One person said, "I don't trust anyone, so I bought a down jacket shell online, then took an old jacket apart to refill it with new down. I paid 20 yuan to a tailor to seal the seams, and in total I spent less than 100 yuan." The downgraded consumption habits are having a direct impact on the restaurant industry. Various types of hot pot restaurants, Chinese dining establishments, and tea shops have been closing down across mainland China. Industry insiders have commented that the entire year feels like an off-season for business. According to statistics, over 1 million restaurants have closed in the first half of this year alone, far exceeding the same period last year. By the end of this year, it is estimated that more than 2 million restaurants will have shut down. A popular video creator shared their experience of visiting dozens of restaurant closures in October, recording the real tragic situation.
Each piece of equipment here seems to tell the story of the restaurant owner's blood, sweat, and tears. This hot pot restaurant, which invested 800,000 yuan, spent 300,000 yuan just on renovation. Unfortunately, the owner had to close the restaurant just 6 months after opening. This girl, who worked for 10 years and saved 600,000 yuan, invested it in a bakery, but within just 4 months, she lost it all. This noodle shop, which was a franchise, also lost 1 million yuan in just over 6 months. The worst part is this barbecue restaurant, which only lasted for less than a year, and yet lost several million yuan. When we were moving out the first piece of equipment, the owner finally couldn't hold it in anymore and sat down in a corner crying. At the same time, 5 other stores in the mall also closed on the same day. I've never seen such a tragedy before, but this year it's everywhere. Sometimes, when I think about it, it's really sad.
The creator goes on to explain that if you had 180,000 yuan, you could live comfortably, but once you enter the restaurant industry, there's a high chance you'll lose it all. Despite this, every year there are still many people, some of whom can't even cook, coming into the restaurant industry, naively thinking that buying a formula or joining a brand franchise will make them rich. The creator points out that the difficulty in the restaurant industry this year isn't just because of lower consumer spending. The core issue is that the number of restaurants is severely oversaturated. There are almost as many people cooking as there are people eating, leading to a massive wave of closures. Despite the overabundance of restaurants, the industry remains sluggish. He warns that the restaurant business is risky, and entering it should be done with caution. Social media reports show that countless hot pot restaurants, Chinese dining establishments, and bars have gone out of business. For example, Man Coffee in Beijing quietly closed in October. Given the current state of the industry, the following types of restaurants are expected to be the first to be eliminated. 1. Large restaurants with high rent and poor performance. 2. Restaurants with high labor costs and service-heavy operations. 3. Flash-in-the-pan, trendy restaurants. And 4. Restaurants overly reliant on marketing. The 3 biggest operating costs for restaurants are rent, labor, and ingredients. The bigger the restaurant, the higher the rent, which increases the pressure on cash flow. If businesses fall short of expectations and cash flow issues rise, it becomes impossible to pay the rent when it's due, leading to the restaurant closing. With the growing number of restaurant closures, the business of restaurant undertakers has unexpectedly become quite popular. Restaurant undertakers are people who buy up equipment from failed restaurants and resell it to new restaurant owners. However, due to the high number of restaurant closures and the limited number of new restaurants opening, the business of restaurant undertakers has now slowed down. They're left with unsold equipment and are having to lower their prices just to sell it off at a loss.
来这边都是他这里的货。
A video on Chinese TikTok shows a secondhand store owner explaining, "The secondhand market for restaurant equipment is also struggling. This year, business has been particularly bad. Several of the secondhand stores around me have already closed down." A report from the WeChat public account, Shenzhen Microtime, highlights the difficulties faced by second-hand equipment recyclers. One such recycler, Brother Long, who has been in the business for 10 years, said during the most profitable times he earned 150,000 yuan in just 3 days. Now, however, he feels that the business is no longer as lucrative. Since the 7% profit margin on recycled equipment became well known, more people have entered the industry, making it harder to collect and sell second-hand equipment. The rise of e-commerce has hit physical stores hard, particularly in the supermarket sector. A wave of supermarket closures has been reported in China, with at least 119 supermarket outlets closing in the third quarter of 2024 alone. Among these, Yonghui Supermarket, one of China's largest supermarket chains, closed at least 33 stores. Supermarket owners have revealed that the high costs of franchise fees, rent, and inventory loans have made it impossible for physical stores to compete with e-commerce. Due to the ongoing economic downturn, this year's Singles' Day shopping event has been the worst ever for Chinese e-commerce, marking a significant decline. E-commerce businesses are also facing a wave of closures. A video creator shared their experience, saying, "We finally couldn't hold on anymore, and the live streaming team for Warm Products has finally disbanded. E-commerce is really a strange thing. Its closure gives you an unprecedented sense of relief." He continued, "We have never made a profit. In fact, the entire set of equipment we just bought was quite expensive. Our store is almost completely packed up now, and just look at the returns. Look how ridiculous it is. Returns have truly been a nightmare. Every day is the most stressful part of the business." The barber industry is also experiencing a wave of closures. Many barbers are resorting to setting up stalls for 10 yuan haircuts. Their income is unstable, and they're facing increasing hardship and uncertainty about the future. In regions like Jiangsu and Zhejiang, where street stalls are prohibited, cheap haircut stalls are still popping up everywhere. Recently, 2 barbershops in Shaoxing were reported to have reduced their prices to as low as 5 yuan, with customers commenting that prices have regressed by 30 years. In Shandong, a video creator shared, "Can you imagine? Barbers can't even make money this year. Is the cost of a haircut too high? It's really hard to imagine making a living as a barber." Mr. Zhao, a barber from Xi'an, explained that the reason for barbershop closures is the high cost of rent, utilities, and employee salaries, which have made it impossible to sustain operations. He started offering 10 yuan haircuts earlier this year and often worked until late at night, but still faced unstable and insufficient income. In recent years, as China's overall economy continues to decline, many export companies have moved overseas, leading to the closure of numerous businesses. Dongguan, a key city in Guangdong province and in China's manufacturing sector, is facing increasing economic challenges. As the local economy weakens, many technicians in Chang'an town are lamenting how hard it has become to earn money. Now, rows of stores are closing, and shop owners are struggling to survive. This year has seen a wave of car dealerships close across China, with dealerships frequently facing financial collapse. On November 23rd, a video creator reported that another Land Rover 4S dealership in Guangzhou had closed. They said, "Even the big guys like Land Rover can't hold on. How much longer can BMW survive? The economy this year is just so tough." After the sudden closure of the world's first 5S authorized BMW dealership in Beijing this October, more dealerships have closed, leaving many customers unable to collect their cars or access after-sale services. Some have even sued. The real estate crisis has also deeply affected the home renovation industry. In recent years, several large home renovation companies, including industry leaders and listed companies, have declared bankruptcy. Industry insiders estimate that half of the home renovation companies in China have closed, leading to a massive surge in unemployment. Moreover, renovation fraud has been on the rise. On November 14th, a video creator reported on a renovation company which took millions of advanced payments from 75 clients, but then disappeared, leaving behind unpaid wages totaling over 200,000 yuan. The creator explained, "There are 2 types of companies going bankrupt. One is because the market is sluggish and the company grew too large, leading to a breakdown in the cash flow. The other is premeditated fraud, and this is the worst type." According to public records, from 2022 to 2023, 123 home renovation companies declared bankruptcy. Since 2024, over 100 real estate companies and more than 60 home renovation companies have gone under, including Dongri Yisheng, a leading listed company in the home renovation industry. The healthcare sector is also facing a wave of closures. In 2024, more than 500 hospitals have shut down across China, including a public general hospital in Meizhou, Guangdong. According to a November 9th report from Weekly, employees at the Jiaying Medical College affiliated hospital in Meizhou reported on social media that the hospital had suspended all medical services and was asking contracted staff to leave. The hospital already owed 10 months of wages to its employees. A local health official confirmed that this public Grade 2 Class B hospital was applying for bankruptcy. A video creator shared a post about the hospital, saying, "What a waste! What do you think they'll use that newly built general building for now?" Chinese expert Yu Shan commented that the combination of widespread industry collapse and high youth unemployment will push Chinese society into an unprecedented crisis. On November 11th, China's Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Human Resources and Social Security announced that 12.2 million university graduates will enter the job market next year, an increase of 430,000 over the previous year. This marks a historic high, which will create even more pressure on an already strained job market. Many Chinese scholars and young people openly admit that seeking opportunities abroad may be the best way out of the crisis.